Welcome back to another episode of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League, presented by 78 Sports. I'm Owen Shadrick, not joined by Matt Ferrara this week, but he will be back on the next episode. Thank you all for joining me today. We have a great episode coming out for you after a great summer. The Norwich Unicorns are your 2023 champions. We hope you tuned in to our championship special. Thank you to all the Unicorns that joined us for that. But we've been announcing our league awards all week, and that came to fruition this week when we announced our MVP and our pitcher of the year. I'm going to take you through all of the awards, and then we will have a special interview coming at you. First off, we want to congratulate our Adam Keenan Scholarship winners. Jimmy Guerin from the Brockton Rocks, Billy Rocca from the New Britain Bees, Shane McNamara from the Nashua Silver Knights, Johnny Knox from the Norwich Unicorns, Derek Paris from the Pittsfield Suns, Antonio Peralta from the Vermont Lake Monsters, Josh Fermenta from the Westfield Starfires, and Michael Ferreras from the Worcester Bravehearts are your Adam Keenan Award winners. They get a scholarship for school. They showed what it means to be a great teammate and a great person with a good attitude all season long, and they were rewarded with that scholarship. Your manager of the year is Kevin Murphy, as we discussed on our championship special. Congratulations to Kevin. Top pro prospect is Dylan Veig from the Worcester Bravehearts. He played at UMass and then transferred to the University of Michigan, so congratulations to Dylan. The top pro prospect for a position player, Will Fosberg from the Nashua Silver Knights. He's playing his college ball at Northeastern. Congratulations to him. Showing off the leather was Matty Warren, our defensive player of the year from the Worcester Bravehearts. Relief pitcher of the year is Brian Hart, who we've had multiple times on this podcast. Congratulations to him. And your two biggest awards, your MVP and your pitcher of the year. Your MVP is 2023 Futures League champion Dean Ferrara, and your pitcher of the year is 2023 ERA leader in Francis Ferguson. Ferguson had a 2.25 ERA. He pitched 52 innings with 50 strikeouts. Congratulations to him on an incredible year. And Dean Ferrara broke the average record in the Futures League for a season at 4.22. And he had an incredible year, and it resulted in a championship. I have both Ferrara and Ferguson on this episode. We talk about the summer. We talk about the impact that summer ball has on these two gentlemen as they head back to school. It's a great episode. You don't want to miss it. Thank you again all for tuning in all summer. Stay tuned for future episodes. We got some great guests lined up for the fall, the winter, the spring. Futures League baseball is not going anywhere, folks. We're going to be here on Back to the Futures all off season long. But for now, here is Dean Ferrara and Francis Ferguson. I am honored to be joined by two award winners for the 2023 Futures League season. Our MVP, Dean Ferrara, and pitcher of the year, Francis Ferguson. Gentlemen, how you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Doing well.
Awesome. And I mean, started off, we talked about the awards. We'll get into the specifics of those in a minute, but you both had excellent seasons playing in Norwich and Vermont, respectfully. What were those summers like for you overall?
No, I'll start, but I just wanted to say it was a really fun summer. This is my first really like moving away, staying with like a host family summer ball experience. The past 2 years I've just played summer ball at home, and it was an absolute blast playing in Norwich. Met a lot of great people. It was great fans, great atmosphere. But yeah, it was great to say the least.
Obviously my summer was great as well. Last few years, 2 years before now, this previous year, were great as well. And then coming in again to the 2023 summer, meeting all the new guys that came in and stuff, and it was great.
Yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned it. You have two very different perspectives on summer ball. Dean, this being your very first summer in Norwich, and Francis being a veteran. What was it like for Dean, for you, adjusting to that summer ball? You said that host family, new experience, and Francis being back as a veteran on your team for a third year, being a leader in that clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, coming in, I only knew two guys on the team. I only knew my college teammate Matt Bucciero and Ray Leonzi, who was at Fairfield his freshman year. So it was a whole new experience for me. I really didn't know what like the deal was, like how like the games worked or how the schedule worked or anything. I just kind of got thrown in there. And yeah, I mean, I had a great time in Norwich. I met a lot of great people. The schedule was very tough to begin with. 6 games in 1 week was very tough to deal with, especially me. I was playing almost every single day for the first 2 weeks, but I definitely got used to it, and it was an absolute grind towards the end, but it's definitely worth it.
Obviously being a veteran and stuff and coming in for the third year, some things were like pretty normal, I guess, like the scheduling, the coaching staff from perspective, because we pretty much had the same coaching staff the last 3 years. So I was pretty familiar with everything. But like it was still somewhat hard to get used to with a whole bunch of new guys coming in, even though we had like 5 guys that are returners and stuff from the last few years. Even then, like being able to like get to know everybody, get like on the same page as everybody and stuff was quite difficult at first, but it turned out really successful and it was really fun.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And there are a couple questions later on about impact guys late in the season that I do want to touch on because both of you have experienced that for sure. But we want to talk about the individual seasons here. And Dean, we'll start with you. You broke the record this year for batting average in the Futures League, hitting .422. How did you feel this season at the plate, and what was it like to hit with so much consistency?
Yeah, I mean, coming off a tough sophomore year at Fairfield, didn't really get a lot of at bats and kind of struggled at the plate and at the field. I wanted to, just come into this summer season just to try to develop myself better to get back into the fall. I really wasn't really looking for like batting a certain average, fielding a certain percentage. I just wanted to go in there, going with a good approach, and the approach I had all summer was just hammer a ball up the middle and keep it low. And I felt like I did that a lot. Just most of my hits were probably low, hard ground balls and line drives up the middle. And then I just keeping the same approach and having confidence going up there really helped me, I think, was the big key.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously the hitting it up the middle worked with that .422 average, I think, a little bit.
Hold on, we'll get right back to the Futures, but first, we want to share a message from our friends at 78 Sports. Do you have kids playing baseball or softball? We all know practice time is limited, especially here in New England, not to mention the cost of lessons and cage time can add up very quickly. Save yourself time and money by giving your kids what they need to work on their game at home. Our friends at 78 Sports can help you put together the perfect at-home training setup. Whether you want to start small with just a tee and a net, or looking to set up a full cage with turf and a pitching machine, they have you covered. And I've used their stuff before. I've seen their facilities. They definitely cover everything. The team at 78 Sports design and install hundreds of at-home and commercial sports training facilities. So let them help you find the perfect setup for your space. Visit the 78 Sports website at 78sports.com. That's SEVENTY, the number 8, sports.com. For a limited time only, by just mentioning Back to the Futures, you'll receive a 10% discount off your order. That's SEVENTY, number 8, sports.com. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And Francis, over to you. You had a 2.25 ERA. You were top 5 in strikeouts with 50 and second in innings with 52. You had an incredible summer, and it seemed like Vermont was winning every time you came out on the mound. How did you feel all season, and what was it like to make such a big impact for your team in that way?
It was great. It was great going out there every time, getting the ball every week and being able to go up on the mound, do what I do best, and being able to have the awesome guys that we had behind us, or behind me, to be able to make the plays in the field, make the defensive plays, and as well score runs to be able to win games. Because obviously, like, you can pitch and stuff, you can pitch your heart out, do really well on the mound, but you got to score runs to win. So that was a big thing for us.
Yeah, and score runs you guys did. And Francis, close your ears for this one. Unfortunately, we do have to ask Dean a question that may hit you a little hard. But Dean, you guys were crowned Futures League champions this year in 2023 after an incredible season in Norwich. What did it mean for you to grab the title at the end of the summer?
Oh, it was an awesome feeling. We felt like if we got through New Bryn, which we thought honestly would be tougher just because they've owned us in the past. Obviously, we did not have a great regular season record against them, that we had the confidence to go into the final game and take that that final game championship, and it was just an awesome feeling. I'd really started getting the jitters with bottom of the or top of the ninth, 2 outs. I was shaking. I was worried that ball was going to get hit to me or something, but we got the final out, and it was an amazing feeling.
And Francis, obviously, we talked a little bit earlier in the summer, but you were a champion in 2021 with the Lake Monsters. Did you feel a similar thing with that when when the game was getting close there at the end?
Yeah, of course, because 2021? It was a close game. I think we only won by 1 run. So obviously, like going into the bottom of the ninth and stuff, like Dean said, it was a close game. We were only down by 1 run. Even not being in the field at the time like I was in 2021, I was like, I feel like we could still win this. But obviously, baseball is baseball, and things happen.
And I want to ask both of you. I believe Dean, you mentioned it earlier with the long season, and obviously it's no secret how long this season is. You play from the end of May till about 2 weeks ago here in now it's in September, but we're talking end of August. What's it like, Dean for Dean this year and for Francis in 2021, playing all of those games and having it mean something at the end of the day when you guys are getting the hardware, you're getting rings, and you're champions?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the main thing is just having grit. I mean, I think we showed that Norwich had the grittiest team, and whoever's battling to the end is gonna win the title. The last 2 regular season weeks of the Futures League after that All-Star break is probably the toughest part of the season, I'd say. It's going to the end, and you're counting down the days till playoffs or when you really want to go home, because you're not really tired of it, but it's just getting to the point where your body's getting shot or whatever. But I think a big key for Norwich as us, we just stayed together as a team, and we fought it out. We had some guys with injuries that got home. We picked up some late additions, and we just stayed together as a team.
Obviously, with being a long season that we had and stuff or whatever, it was hard throughout the whole season, being able to stay consistent throughout the season. Obviously had like some streaks that we were struggling here and there, but when it came down to like the last few weeks, especially like Dean said, after the All-Star game and the week going into the All-Star game where the games start really mattering, because we had like 4 teams that were all revolving around the same top 4. So trying to fight for spots for seeding coming into the playoffs and stuff, bearing down and making every game count, almost like a normal playoff game, even in the regular season. But
Yeah, it was all. I mean, all 4 teams that made the playoffs were fighting at the end of the day, but it ended up being you guys, both of your teams, and Worcester fighting for those top 3 spots, and it was just an incredible race. I know y'all were scoreboard watching for sure after every game.
Yeah.
And Dean touched on it. I want to ask both of you about this, though, because you've experienced it. Dean, with the Sea Unicorns, you brought in a ton of guys late that made such an impact on the playoffs in Donahue, Malcolm, Cohen, among others. And Francis, very similar thing with you guys in 2021. And even this year, bringing in guys late that made such an impact on your teams. What does it mean to see that? And especially with, you talk about Francis, especially with you, you're a 3-year veteran. You've seen some of the same guys before, and you guys are bringing in new people into this culture that you've built to try and win a title. What does it mean to see those guys come in and make as great of an impact as they did at the end of the day?
I mean, yeah, it was awesome. Donahue, Malcolm, they came ready. They came in with one goal, and they wanted to help us win the championship. They didn't really come here just to get ABs. I think even Cohen and other guys like Mark Capel who shoved during the championship game, they all had one goal and just trying to bring a ring and a championship back to Norwich. So I think that was the big thing.
Yeah, like obviously with the long season like we had, like people are coming in and out. But towards the end of the season, like we were getting some guys in, like Teddy Schoenfield, Ben Alexson and stuff. Ben Alexson was here a little earlier and stuff, but guys coming in who are able to like not necessarily just go out there just to throw, get innings and stuff, and want to win games and want to bring another ring to Vermont was really, really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And one thing that made both of your, summer so special, it had to be was the fans, both in Vermont and in Norwich. We'll start with Norwich, though. Norwich wins their first title in Futures League history, and that crowd was incredible for that championship game. Dean, what did you see from this crowd all summer, and what was it like to see the amount of people, the amount of turnout for that championship game, and just so many happy faces when you guys won the title?
Yeah, I mean, fans all year, they just brought energy. It was loud, especially during, special nights like military appreciation night. There was, a good 4,000 fans there. It was loud. Even playoffs against New Britain, like when Johnny Knox hit that go ahead homer against New Britain, I couldn't even hear myself talking. That's how loud the fans were talking too and screaming. But yeah, I mean, the championship game when Daniel Cohen threw that last strike, and I mean that place got pretty loud. So I mean, the fans were amazing this year.
And then Francis, over to you in Vermont, and Dean, I'm sure you'd agree with this. The fans in Vermont are special, and they've
Oh yeah.
proved that year in and year out. What was it like playing once again in front of those fans this summer?
It's amazing going out there every day and having like 3,000, 5,000 people in the stands. It's amazing. Even on non-playoff nights, non-championship nights and stuff, just regular season games, Monday through Tuesday through Sunday. It's pretty electric being able to go out there and not only win the games for us, but also win the games for the fans in the city of Burlington.
Yeah, that's great. And that definitely culminated at our 2023 All-Star game, which you both were at. Obviously, you both played extremely well enough to be part of that. What was that experience like for you both being part of the All-Star game for the first time?
It was an awesome 2-day experience. The home run derby was an unreal experience. And I was seeing guys hit homers. I've never seen wood bat base go that far before. So I mean, the All-Star game was crazy. You stepped in the box, look back, and there's 45 to 5,000 people just in the crowd and the outside. So I mean, it was a really, really cool experience.
It was electric watching the All-Star game and being able to perform in the All-Star game, obviously with like being in Burlington, you get all the fans and stuff coming in the games and stuff. So all the players get a little amped up. So like you see Velos jumping up a little bit. You guys got throwing 96, sitting low nines and stuff, whatever. And obviously, as Dean said, with the home run derby, you see guys hitting balls over the soccer stadium out in left field. And you don't really see that in Vermont that much. But it's quite electric being out there for the All-Star game this year, and especially being my first time participating in an All-Star game. It was fun. It's fun to participate and watch too.
Yeah, it was certainly a great time in Burlington, as both of you said. And I want to ask specifically about each of your managers. Dean, we will start with you. Your manager, Kevin Murphy, was 2023 Manager of the Year, and he was really the guy. He was that leader that brought the gel that brought that team together. What did he bring to the clubhouse this season?
Just a lot of energy. He's a fun dude. He's I think a great way to put it, he's like a big brother to us. He's not an older guy. He knows the game well, but he just loves to have fun and obviously loves to win the game. So I think just like, having a relaxed, cool approach and just going out there and having fun, it really helped us out this year.
Before we return to Back to the Futures, we want to share a message from our friends at Zorian Bat Company. Rob Zorian started the company, Zorian Bat Company, in 2003, literally out of the trunk of his car in Davie, Florida. Within 2 years, he was selling his wood bat line to Major League Baseball and continues to manufacture the highest grade wood bats for Little League all the way up to the majors. Rob Zorian, founder and president of Zorian, says, "I started the company in 2003 to service all baseball players in the United States and beyond. And after 19 years, our mission has not changed. We are very excited to have the opportunity to work with the Futures League and wish all of our players and coaches a healthy and successful season ahead. For more information about Zorian, visit their website, zorianbats.com. Zorian, America's baseball brand." Now, back to the Futures. So yeah, Kevin Murphy, 2023 Manager of the Year. But Francis, you have Pete Wilk and Matt Fincher in your corner over there in Vermont. Two great managers in Finch and Wilk, and then obviously with Kevin, all different baseball perspectives for sure. What was it like to be managed by those guys? And I guess, Dean, you can answer part of this too, is what is it like seeing different perspectives, obviously from your managers from school and from high school, and now with the Futures League this year?
It's pretty good. It's pretty fun being able to play for Pete and play for Matt Fincher. Obviously, like them being older guys, it's quite different baseball. Obviously, they have so much more knowledge, in my opinion, from the amount of games that they've managed and coached up through the years and whatever. And and then having a manager here at school who's much younger and stuff, whatever, it's pretty cool, knowing how much baseball they know and whatnot. But
Yeah, going off what Francis said, I'm in an opposite situation with my college coach having more knowledge than Coach Murphy does. But I know I love seeing both perspectives, to say the least, because our Coach Curry at Fairfield knows a great game of baseball. We bunt a lot, we do all of that old school baseball stuff with really brings the game together. But then going up to Coach Murphy, not just Coach Murphy, but the other staff members, Noah Plantamuro, Coach Broadhurst, and Coach Rich, and even Coach Baylock, who has some great old knowledge too, because he's coached at UConn for so many years. And it's just cool to see the different type of perspectives you get from the younger side of baseball rather than the older side of seeing the game more.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously 2 different perspectives that produce many lessons. And I want to ask each of you, what is the best lesson that your managers taught you this summer or in previous summers, Francis, with you, that you'll keep with you going back to school?
The one big thing that I took away was obviously like with Pete going through the things that he's going through right now. And then having Matt Fincher out there, Coach Finch out there. One thing was like, obviously, as Dean said it earlier, was to have grit. Go out there every day like it's your last game and be able to push forward. One thing that we had, I don't know if I can really say this, but it was Pete's slogan, nuts. Just go out there and be able to perform to the best of your ability and put the game on the line.
Yeah, I had a very similar thing. Just playing today like it's your last game ever. I personally, I use that every day. I try to go out there with 110%, giving my best, act like it's my last day playing baseball. So I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's great. And then from the guys that lead the locker room to the guys with you in the locker room, what was it like growing and developing with all these guys this summer, learning, meeting new people, learning from all these new guys?
It's amazing. It's honestly probably one of the most fun parts about being up in Vermont, or just being out playing 60+ games with a bunch of guys from all over the country, meet different personalities, meet different kinds of people, different cultures and whatnot. Like obviously we had a kid from Dubai, we had a kid from across the country in California and stuff, whatever. So you meet a whole different bunch of different people, and being able to play 60+ games and being in the locker room every day creates sort of like a family culture where everybody becomes really close. You're spending your whole day together with everybody, working hard, being able to eat, go to the baseball field, lift, do whatever. Become really close. And it's almost, like I said, like a family.
Yeah, I was going to say about the same thing. Just once we really got to meet each other through, mid-January to the All-Star break, we had such great team chemistry on and off the field, starting with arriving to the field during BP and then on bus ride back home from Vermont or Nashua. It's the on and off type of moments that, will never be forgotten for me, just meeting these guys. And this is by far the most fun I've ever had summer ball in. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And we talked about it. It's been a long summer. It's been a grind, 60+ games, obviously including playoffs, which were very high stakes. How are you both feeling physically, mentally, in general, heading back to school?
Personally, right now, like I'm feeling pretty good. I'm personally shut down. I've thrown 130 innings this year, including the spring. But otherwise, like I feel pretty good. Obviously throwing here and there. Right now, I'm just focusing on hitting a little bit, getting the ins and outs of that down again, because I didn't really hit that much this year. But otherwise, I feel pretty good.
I mean, yeah, towards the end, it was a grind. I was dealing through some injuries earlier in the spring and kind of towards the end, but it was a tough go to end. But now that got some 1 or 2 weeks rest, I'm ready to get back after it when I get back to school. So yeah.
Yeah, and one final question here for you both. What impact did summer ball have on each of your games? And how will you use what you learned this summer on the baseball field and take it back to school?
Personally, like pretty much summer ball has been my whole collegiate career almost, besides minus this last spring. Obviously with COVID coming through a few times and stuff, it's almost like summer ball for me has been everything. It was pretty much where I've learned a majority of my lessons from collegiate baseball, how I developed, how I've developed and stuff through the last few years. You pretty much take everything with like a grain of salt. Obviously, every lesson's big and whatnot, but hopefully continue to keep learning from this, and maybe we'll see another summer ball season next year.
Yeah, for me, I think the big key for me, the lesson I learned was just enjoying the moment, looking around, seeing the fans in summer ball, seeing the atmosphere, meeting a bunch of new guys. And it's obviously something I'm going to use for the future of the rest of my baseball career. But I know it sounds like kind of plain and broad, but I think just going out there and having the fun and play to my best of my ability. But yeah, I mean, summer here was amazing, and I'm looking forward to what comes for the future for me.
Yeah, that's great. Two great perspectives about what summer ball has meant to you both. Francis Ferguson of the Vermont Lake Monsters, Dean Ferrara of the Norwich Unicorns. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck back at school.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
And this has been yet another episode of Back to the Futures, the official podcast of the Futures League. We have new episodes coming out every Monday. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see everyone soon.
Yeah.